Imagine the following scenario. You're down the pub, having a few beers with your mates, chatting about crap, and one of you comes up with a brilliant idea for a smartphone app. The app will use a smartphone's built-in microphone to calculate the distance, velocity, and decibel of a fart. It'll then put these farts into either a single person score or a league table of farts based on decibels, velocity, and other variables that people chip in for whilst having a drinking session. I'm 42 this year. Now, clearly none of this makes any sense in the real world, and now it's just a ridiculous scenario, but it doesn't really have to. Even if you've got a really, really good idea for an app, you or your mates, whoever come up with it, will just probably move on and just forget about it and get on with the rest of your life. The reason for this is that hiring an app developer is really bloody expensive. The whole process feels like navigating a minefield whilst walking along a tightrope in Guantanamo Bay. Enter Sachin Dev Duggal, a serial entrepreneur from India with a talent for spotting new gaps in technology markets. Duggal was a charismatic entrepreneur, and he didn't just stumble blindly into the world of tech startups. At the age of 14, he was building PCs and selling them as a side hustle, which perhaps was a sign of things to come. By the age of 17, he'd landed a prestigious internship at Deutsche Bank, where he developed one of the world's first automatic currency arbitrage trading systems. This was a bold move for a teenager that was still in high school. He gained a Bachelor of Engineering in Information Systems from Imperial College London after completing an entrepreneurial masterships program at Massachusetts Institute of Technology's entrepreneurship organisation. In 2009, Duggal's early success earned him some serious credibility at a young age. The World Economic Forum named him a technology pioneer as one of the youngest attendees at Davos, and he earned a spot as Ernst & Young's Entrepreneur of the Year finalist. He even advised Eros Digital. His own foundation, Sachin and Saurabh, had the lofty goal of educating 100 million children over 50 years, which showed a commitment to social change alongside his tech ambitions. In 2012, Duggal founded Shoto, a photo sharing app that used AI and analytical information to group photos from shared events which were based on locations and contacts. This was the seed that grew the idea of Build AI. Duggal struggled to find reliable front-end developers for the project, realising that building an app was hard for him. And if it was hard for him, it must be nearly impossible for non-technical entrepreneurs and small business owners. And it's no secret that app development projects often go over budget, over the deadline, as well as many of these projects, as many as 80%, just crashing and burning within the development stage. Duggal's latest business idea was a simple but bold one. He wanted to make app building as easy as taking a piss in your own bathroom. Duggal got to work straight away, building a unique platform called Engineer AI. The app would utilise advanced AI to create a completely customised app, letting the user pick features like they were selecting toppings on a pizza, not actually taking a piss. It had e-commerce functionality, booking systems, push notifications, and a virtual assistant called Natasha. This virtual assistant would guide the user through the whole process. It would handle most of the coding, and it would create custom apps from scratch in just weeks, not months. So, okay, it's not like ordering a pizza or taking a piss. That was probably a shit analogy. It's more like ordering a desk from Temu. Not, of course, that you'd order a desk from Temu unless you're a complete moron, but you kind of get the point. This, in principle, was a fantastic idea, being able to create apps at a fraction of the cost in a fraction of the time frame. This opened the doors for small startups and for people who had big dreams and ideas, but only a small shoestring budget. Initially called Engineer.ai, the company launched in London in 2016, but the company leaned heavily on global vision, and a large part of its tech team was based in India. The revolutionary company promised to democratize the world of software app development. This was an idea that resonated in an era where tech ideas were getting money thrown at them like a stupid crypto bro having a FOMO meltdown. The idea was so appealing that even clients such as the BBC and Virgin reportedly signed up with them. This enabled Builder AI to have some credibility within the software development market. By 2018, the company had raised $29.5 million in a Series A round led by Lakestar and Jungle Ventures, with Deepcore, a SoftBank subsidiary. At this point, the money seemed to be pouring into the company like a bloody gold rush, and the hype train was only just getting started. But even in these early days, there were signs of problems on the horizon. The platform's claims were very vague. And even after 2 years, the reliance on human coders in India troubled workers on the inside of the company. In hindsight, this does seem a bit dodgy, but the idea was so compelling and investors were still hooked on the idea. The early 2020s were a wild time for many AI startups. ChatGPT had dropped in late 2022, and suddenly anything with AI in the name had a shitload of money thrown at it by angel and capital investors with money to burn. Initially called Engineer, this was rebranded to Builder.ai in a supposed attempt in order to make it sound more punchy and more futuristic, with its impressive claim of using AI to create apps for very little money. Dougal was determined to ride the crest of this venture capital wave. Its rebrand was a smart move, as Engineer AI projects an image of geeky spotty men in dark rooms with far too much time on their hands and far too much dodgy anime on their hard drives. By 2022, Builder AI was seen as a rockstar startup company. It had raised over $195 million in a Series C round, hitting a $1 billion valuation. Even software juggernaut Microsoft had joined in by this time, with an equity stake in the company and a partnership which was designed to integrate Builder's AI platform into Azure, which is Microsoft's cloud service platform. Getting Microsoft on board, Builder AI now had the ultimate stamp of approval from a tech giant. And in May 2023, the Qatar Investment Authority led a $250 million Series D round, which pushed the company's valuation to $1.5 billion. This effectively meant that the company now had unicorn status. This is a company which has a valuation of over $1 billion. Other big names also jumped on board, like the world's IFC, Winder Co and SoftBank. This gave the company a total of over $450 million worth of investments. But for Builder AI, it wasn't just about investment. It also achieved a number of awards. Fast Company named it one of the 3 most innovative companies in AI, alongside OpenAI and DeepMind. It also won fancy bloated titles like Hottest AI Startup at the Europass and Scale Up of the Year from CogX. These awards helped businesses to grow quickly during the pandemic, which in turn gave Builder AI goodwill and trumped up news headlines. At this point, the company was able to expand rather aggressively, and it opened offices in Los Angeles, Delhi, Singapore, and the United Arab Emirates. With the workforce now standing at over 1,000 employees, its product line expanded too. There was Builder Cloud for cost-efficient cloud hosting, Studio One for maintenance, and Natasha, the chatbot, as the friendly face of the overall software suite. On the surface of things, Builder AI was the tech superstar which was on the up and up. It blended AI hype with a practical solution for a genuine real-world problem. But within the company's internal workings, cracks were now starting to show, and they'd soon become impossible to ignore. In 2019, the Wall Street Journal dropped a bombshell that would give Builder AI problems for some years to come. Despite all the fancy talk of AI-powered app development, underneath the hood, the company actually relied heavily on human engineers, and in fact hundreds of them were involved. And these were mostly in India. Natasha, the virtual assistant that was supposed to be the fancy pants smart-ass assistant which was supposed to build the AI, was merely a simplistic front-end gimmick, and some inside the company was suggesting that Natasha was being responded to in real time by developers within the company, rather than the coding genius that Builder claimed it was. Claims were being made by workers that the platform wasn't actually automating app creation at the scale that it was claiming it was. What was really happening is that The whole operation was essentially an outsourcing operation dressed up as an automated AI company. This damning report threw intense accusations of what's called AI washing. This is a term for companies that overhype their AI capabilities. This overhyping is used to lure investors and customers alike. Build AI's marketing had leaned very hard into the suggestion that it was able to develop apps 80% faster than more traditional methods. But the stark reality was that the company required around 700 software engineers in India to do all this work. And whilst clients thought they were paying for cutting-edge technology, they were effectively being bullshitted into what really was a glorified Fiverr or WeWork with a seemingly automated front end. Duggal actually admitted to the press that software engineers were actually playing a role in this process. But the lies were the fact that he was insisting that the platform used AI to streamline almost all of the process, and that the underlying real reason for the rebrand in 2019 was an attempt to move past this reported Wall Street Journal scandal. But thanks to the AI boom, which at this point was effectively a massive gravy train of investment, it wasn't a death blow to the company just yet. All it did was to plant seeds of doubt that would later sprout into a big massive fucking forest. Whilst AI washing fueled skeptical remarks by many in the investment community, it was the sheer financial mismanagement that brought down the whole house of cards. By 2023, the company was burning cash faster than one of Elon Musk's exploding rocket dumpster fires. Instead of trying to get its business ideas together and actually work on the bloody idea of trying to make AI actually work, it was burning money with its global offices, its 1,000 employees, and glitzy marketing campaigns. And despite a multitude of investors throwing more cash at the company than a group of 80 sleazy businessmen in a bar strip, the actual company's revenue wasn't keeping up with all this investment. Then, to add to a cherry on top of the shit cake, it transpired the company had been left without a financial officer since early July 2023 due to internal leadership struggles and pressures. This is a big fucking red flag for a company, especially one that's ridiculously overvalued at $1.5 billion. Then came another bombshell. A report from Bloomberg accused the company of inflating its revenue figures to keep investors happy. The company claimed $180 million in sales in 2023, but an independent audit later revised this figure down from 180 million to just 45%, which represented a nearly 300% exaggeration in the company's sales figures. Projections for 2024 were similarly overstated, dropping from $220 million to just 55 million. Whoops. Between 2021 and 2024, two companies allegedly billed each other for fake services. They booked revenue without delivering real products. Verse denied the accusations, but the damage was already done. They seemed to have taken a leaf out of Sam Bankman-Fried's Fraudsters book for morons. This precarious financial house of shit cards started to collapse in 2024. Veolia Credit, which had loaned Builder AI $50 million in uncovered covenant breaches tied to the inflated numbers. They seized $37 million from the company's accounts, leaving just $5 million in restricted funds. Left with no cash to pay employees or any vendors, Builder AI was now on life support. The lack of a CFO had left these issues to go unchecked, and investors like Microsoft and QAI were left holding the bag on a $450 million gamble. As the financial mess seemed to deepen, Builder AI's leadership faced its own reckoning. Duggal, the charismatic chief grand wizard, was at the centre of the storm. His initially bold and bright vision had won over investors, but his management style meant that he couldn't deliver in reality. In February 2025, the board replaced him with CEO Manpreet Ratia, a managing partner at Jungle Adventures, although Duggal did actually stay on as the chief wizard, whatever the fuck that means, and was also a board member. The move was supposed to stabilise the company, but as we've seen throughout history in similar situations, it was too little, too late. Employees started to speak out, describing the workplace as a chaotic workspace where AI claims were overstated and internal processes were a mess. One engineer quoted anonymously saying, "We were told to make it look like AI was doing the work, but it was us grinding away. On X, sentiment turned sour against the company. One user commented saying that Builder AI was just 700 engineers pretending to be bots, that it had a 1.5 billion evaluation, Microsoft backing, and that it was now bankrupt. AI wasn't the product, it was the pitch. This growing distrust amongst employees, clients, and the public was the final nail in the company coffin. On May 2025, Manpreet Rathia delivered the grim news in a company-wide call. Builder AI was to file for bankruptcy. Rattan called it a difficult moment, admitting that he'd been running the company with $0 in its UK and US accounts. The fallout from all this was brutal. Clients, many of them startups and small businesses, were left stranded. They were forced to migrate or rebuild their apps from scratch. Builder AI generously issued a statement, which I'm sure its customers and staff and employees were absolutely delighted by. It thanked its team and stakeholders for acknowledging that their past steps had made survival impossible. This collapse sparked a wave of online reactions. One Reddit thread called it a textbook case of AI hype gone wrong, whilst on X a user called Builder AI scaled fake AI and not apps, and it's game over. The company's downfall wasn't just a business failure, it was a warning sign for the entire AI startup ecosystem. But why did it fail? What really killed Builder AI? Well, it wasn't just one mistake, but it was a massive car crash pile-up of mistakes. The company made claims of its AI capabilities that just didn't exist yet, and the Wall Street Journal expose revealed the gap between the marketing and the reality of the situation. The blatant financial mismanagement, which inflated revenue, and running without a CFO for nearly 2 years, was a recipe for a business shitcake. The round-tipping scandal and the Viola credit seizure of funds really helped to seal the deal when it came to the company's fate. Global expansion and a 1,000-person workforce looked impressive on the face of things, but it burnt the cash that the company just didn't have. The vision outpaced the execution, and being on the board at the end must have felt like sitting on the Titanic, sunbathing, whilst people were screaming and jumping off the ship. In an era where AI market hype fueled firm demand amongst investors, they overlooked the red flags in the rush to get into the next big thing. But what could they have done better as a company? Overall, they should have been more transparent with the product. If the product uses human labour, then just bloody say so. In a company, honesty can build trust, but deception can burn the house down in just minutes. So it's better to be honest than to sweep things under the carpet, and not to kick the can of burning shit down the road. The blame also lies with the investors. Instead of just flinging money at any old shit, they need to look more deeply into technical and granular details of the workings of the company. Due diligence and financial details should be a better indicator of an investment than just smoke and mirrors. And although some people will have made lots of money through AI hype, namely the investors that got out when sensing that the writing was on the wall for the AI hype nonsense, many people lost a lot of money, and some will have lost life savings and more. Another issue is that whilst growth looks great for a company's optics, it's only sustainable if the revenue is there to make it happen. Being honest about growth to investors and workers, then to bend them over and fuck them with an AI hype train. AI isn't really a magic tool, it's more of an assistant, and the technology just isn't there to create apps on a whim from scratch right now. In addition, AI washing has proved problematic for many companies in the tech sector. Similar claims surfaced from Amazon's self-service shops. Amazon was found to be processing scanned items in various cashless shops by getting them processed by Indian workers instead of actually having AI machines that work properly in the shops. This is why many shoppers wouldn't get sent receipts from Amazon's self-service shops until hours or days later, and this had all the hallmarks of outsourcing bullshit AI hype claims. And outsourcing them to developing countries is not only dodgy, it's also exploitative, because the workers in developing countries are paid a fraction of their first world counterparts and are made to work longer hours to effectively lie about a concept that isn't working yet. In 2024, AI startups gobbled up 40% of US startup funding, but most of this was unprofitable. Builder AI's epic failure shows that hype really doesn't always equal success or match the reality in business, and that hype should only be used when there's a proven product to back the marketing claims up, like Apple's initial iPhone. Maybe, perhaps, is not all lost, as despite Builder AI's impressive implosion, the no-code and low-code market is still currently thriving. There's endless predictions that the market will hit 25 billion by 2025, with 60% of enterprise apps built on such platforms by 2028, like Microsoft's Power Platform, and upstarts like Beam AI seem to be filling the void, but it remains to be seen whether these are actually successful and are really going to be able to automate the AI process of building apps at all. One commenter said, AI is by no means a magic pill for success. Startups need to focus on real value, not just buzzwords to survive the post-hype shakeout. After Builder AI's epic crash, Sachin Dev, the chief wizard, was booted as CEO in March 2025, replaced by Manpreet Rita. Although he kept a board seat and his quirky title, he jetted off to Dubai, likely chasing its tech scene and lax rules, not hiding his LinkedIn posts hint at new ventures. In the USA, he dodged criminal charges, but the Manhattan US's attorney office subpoenaed Builder AI's sales data. But are there consequences? Well, a battered reputation, but no jail time yet. The wizard is still weaving his spells, but he's a bit quieter. In conclusion, Builder AI's story is definitely a cautionary tale for new AI companies. Yes, it was innovative and exciting, but the demands outstripped the real-world application. This will be a stark reminder that you can't fake it forever. Companies need to build on honesty and build smartly, and perhaps maybe they'll build something that lasts. Or perhaps AI is just a mirage. Whilst its image drawing capabilities, its video rendering capabilities of celebrities eating spaghetti are impressive, and the functionality of AI to be able to draw a penis on Thomas the Tank Engine is groundbreaking, it still remains to be seen what actual physical real-world applications the current generation of AI, other than fucking up automated McDonald's orders, that LLM models will be able to achieve out here in the real world. And whilst self-driving cars appear on the surface impressive, many of these systems still require, guess what, Indian workers in call centres to be able to manually steer the cars when their systems break down. And many of the automated Uber or Lyft cars travel around very predictable pre-programmed routes that wouldn't scale to driving styles, particularly outside the United States in European smaller cities. But I'll try and remain positive, even though I'm a skeptic about these things. If you've enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. It really makes a big difference to being able to create these videos, considering that I've only got 49 subscribers.